Been a bit of a slow week, but we've got some showcases, some industry shakeups, and a feel-good story. Let's talk. What up, viewers? What up? What up? Calc Soups here, and today is Friday, March 1st, and that means it's time for a quick recap of the week in video game news. Like I said, there's been some showcases this week, and the first one I want to talk about is Pokemon Presents, or Pokemon Presents. As usual, they talked about their Pokemon Sleep app, which I still don't know what that's about. But the two big things that I kind of wanted to talk about coming out of it was there's a new Pokemon Legends game. So much like Pokemon Legends Arceus, which was set, I think, a couple centuries ahead of the mainline plot of Pokemon, where it has like kind of the survival crafting aspects of it, or more survival crafting in the game. I think that's what people can, or at least with the new one, that's potentially what people are going to go in thinking like, is this Arceus 2? How does that kind of work? How have they improved upon that? Because it was still a little bare bones. I don't even think the combat system was very fleshed out for Pokemon Legends Arceus. So the new one, Pokemon Legends ZA, has some pretty big shoes to fill because I'm not sure Arceus was the best showing. And even if you did like Arceus, they just followed it up with another broken Pokemon games, modern Pokemon game. So I think Pokemon Legends ZA has a pretty steep hill to climb, but I am kind of interested in how they can improve upon the formula that Pokemon Arceus set up. So looking forward to that. There's another thing that I didn't quite understand. It was a mobile trading card game, was Pokemon. So I don't know if it's just a place for you to store a digital copy of your Pokemon collection, or if it's just a trading card game. Can I play the trading card game on my phone, much like I play Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering Arena? So I'm curious what that was about, but from what I originally just saw was just a storage place for your digital collection for your already existing physical one. So didn't quite understand that, so that needs to be elaborated on. But there was also a bunch of other stuff in the Pokemon Presents, but those are the two things that caught my eye. Moving right along, never gonna forget a chance to talk about Helldivers 2 because I'm enjoying the crap out of it and still addicted and want to get to it right after this. But for now, there was rumors abound this week that we would get the mech suit that we had in the original one. So in the first one, one of the reinforcements that you could call in was a giant mech suit that you could run around and pilot and help you kill bugs and robots. There was videos that kind of leaked on Reddit earlier this week showing people actually piloting and running around in these mech suits. And so I think officially this week it has been announced that we've got some mech suits coming. There'd be new enemy types, a new faction of enemy. So pretty exciting stuff. Helldivers is not going away anytime soon, and we'll have content. Now that the servers are up and running and pretty stable, we'll have some new content coming down the pipeline. So looking forward to that. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, I already kind of talked about it, but it officially launched this week. I talked about it last week with its 90, I think at the time it was a 93 Metacritic. I think that's fallen down to 92. Still looks like a great game and something I might grasp onto once I'm done with Helldivers 2, but if you're looking for any help, any guides on how to get through the game, how to play the new Gwent, which is somehow in a Final Fantasy game but looks a lot like Gwent. There's a card battler in the Final Fantasy game, and so if you need guides on that or anything else, I'll have a link down below that you can check out. A whole bunch of guides brought to you by GameSpot. So looking forward to that. And last but not least, there was another of the big stories of this week. There was another showcase from Nacon. I feel like I recognize the company name, but I haven't really seen too much from them. I had to do a little Googling before talking about them. So they're a games accessory company, but also do some indie publishing. And one of the big ones that came out of their showcase was Greedfall 2, which I know I've heard of Greedfall because it was like a BioWare-esque kind of industrial BioWare game. And the second one is coming out. So they get to talk about that one. There was also a Terminator survival game that was being published under Nacon. I'm probably saying it wrong as well. Ultimately, or funnily enough, it is called Terminator Survivors. But yeah, it's going to be you trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic wasteland infested with Terminators. So that'd be a heck of a game, and the difficulty on that should be pretty high. I don't imagine humans one-on-one going up against Terminators and winning. So I guess you'll have to band together for that one. And another one of the games, there was more. There was a couple dozen of them that were announced and showcased, but another one that caught my eye was called Crown Wars. And it just had a really cool, distinct. I kind of like the bold black line art style, and so they had kind of that going for it. It was also a turn-based game, which you know I love, and it's a medieval fantasy game. So all things that kind of catch my eye and are good boxes to check for me. So looking forward to that and some of the other games coming out of the NACON showcase this week. I don't know if EA has been hit with the Grim Reaper of layoffs yet. They announced this week that they will be cutting 5% of their workforce, which amounted to about 700 jobs lost. And it just kind of got me thinking again that I think I'm hopeful that there's going to be like an indie revolution. I know people have been talking about that for a while, but I just with a couple thousand people in the games industry losing their jobs over the past year, or at this point 15 months. I'm expecting, I'm hopeful that like they'll spin off and like smaller studios will be developed, and hopefully they don't get gobbled up by the big guys, and so we can kind of have an even bigger kind of group of AAA devs but making indie games. So I just kind of thought that was a little bit of a hopeful spin I could put on it, but that might just be me trying to put a positive silver lining spin on it. So yeah, it's always hard to hear about people in the industry I love losing their jobs, and so yeah, hopefully I can, I hope that those people aren't just completely out and leaving and going to different industries. I hope that they can like band together, make some really good indie studios, pick up some of the people that have lost jobs, and continue to develop really good games. So as this year has proven, you don't have to be AAA in order to make some of the big, the big bucks. So looking forward to hopefully a positive outlook, but I don't know how long it takes. That was another thing I was trying to figure out this week, how long it takes to like establish a studio. And I mean, I know developing a game, but like your first game as a studio, that probably takes half a decade or so. So like, are we waiting 5 more years till we can starts to see the fruits of these kind of developers that have band together to make their first game as this new studio in my hypothetical silver lining world? So hopefully that all happens, but we'll have to see the fruits of that more towards 2030 than next year or even this year. So speaking of spinning off, Toys for Bob, Toys for Bob is the company that made the most recent Crash Bandicoot game. They've been under Activision Blizzard King for, I think, like a half a decade, maybe even a full decade now. And after they got purchased, or after Activision got purchased by Microsoft, turns out they're going to spin off. They're going to keep, I don't know if they're going to keep the Crash IP or how that's going to work, but they're spinning off to do their own thing. So, like I said, you're going to have some of these low-hanging fruit that are going to spin off, do their own thing, and that's exactly what Toys for Bob are doing. So, Toys for Bob is doing. So, hopefully, this is a kind of an indicator towards that pie-in-the-sky future that I'm hoping for. And last but not least, if you have a spare $500 million lying around, you might be able to purchase Saber Interactive. Saber Interactive is the company behind the upcoming Space Marine 2 game that's coming out. They're currently under the Embracer Group, and Embracer Group's trying to sell them off. And yeah, I'm curious if this is like an ill omen towards Space Marine 2, which I actually think I'm trying to hype some of my friends, saying, hey, it's co-op and it's Space Marines and Warhammer, and the first one was really good. I'm trying to get the hype levels up for that, but I'm curious if this is like an ill omen, like maybe this doesn't bode well. Why would you sell right before launching one of your bigger products? But maybe it's not their choice. So and before Space Marine, I think one of the other games that comes to the top of my mind from them was like the World War Z game, which I thought I heard was like a decent zombie shooter. So and I believe their tech for like zombie hordes was like industry standard for a bit there. So yeah, I'm curious what and I bet they're using that tech to make Tyranids, for Space Marine 2, and so we'll get hordes of Tyranids that we have to mow through. So looking forward to that. But yeah, hopefully not an ill omen towards a game that I am excited for. Space Marine is, I still believe, Space Marine 2, I think, is still due to come out in September. So looking forward to that. Moving right along, the calendar has rolled over. It is officially March. Happy March. And that means we get new games with PS Plus. So our PS Plus games for this month are Sifu, which was the Kung Fu kind of martial arts fighter game that came out, I think, a couple years ago. And was really highly rated. And I never actually ended up picking it up, but although I think I would enjoy it with a little bit of me that likes fighting games and just the recursive element of it. So I definitely think that it's something worth picking up, and I believe it was highly rated, high 80s Metacritic. So looking forward to that. And then the latest Destiny 2 DLC, Destiny 2: The Witch Queen, is also available this month, so people can catch up potentially before the next the Destiny 2 DLC comes, hopefully later this year. In the cold open, I did promise you a feel-good story. It starts off a little sad. A Tekken 8 player and his brother thoroughly loved Tekken 8. Recently launched at the end of January. They've been playing it a lot, and then the Reddit posters, their brother actually passed away suddenly, and apparently there's a feature in the game where as you're playing you can kind of see the ghosts of other characters, and apparently there's like a tool or a feature where you can, as you play, you're training this kind of ghost. And the the poster on Reddit said, "Hey, is there any way that I can like save this ghost now that my brother has passed? I want to be able to save it and be able to play it and all that kind of stuff." And that actually got its way all the way up to the top of the game director. Actually responded to them on Twitter and said, "Hey, there's this way you can save it down in case we don't, in case it refreshes and goes away." And so that was actually really cool to see, like, the game director for the game reaching out to this guy who had a tragic event happen in his life, and it hopefully he gets to save his aptly, I don't know if the feature is actually called Ghost, but or what it's actually called, but that hopefully this guy can save his brother's ghost and be able to play it still in a game they both love. So yeah, it's really touching and really cool to see gamers and developers come together to kind of help people through anything, including the grieving process. So yeah, it's really cool to see that this week. Wanted to highlight that. And officially, last but not least, this week, the Tron, one of the first, I think maybe the first video game movie, is finally getting dusted off the shelf after nearly a decade. I think Tron 2 came out. The ill-fated Tron 2 came out in 2015 with its bad de-aging of Jeff Bridges. And so hopefully, I don't know what the new story is going to be like. I don't even know what the story was from the last one. But I am excited to kind of see that world again. I think it's got a very distinct art style, and it's one that I think a lot of us know and love. But curious what they're going to do with a third movie. Especially now that we're kind of in the internet age or the post-internet age, where like, is content always being uploaded? Is it just Ralph breaks the internet levels of video game stuff? Like, what are they going to do with Tron 3? So, and maybe not take themselves as seriously as they did in the second one. I know, remember, the vibes were not good in the second one. So, yeah. So I'm very curious what they're gonna do with Tron 3 when it comes out. And at this rate, I think the first one came out in the 80s. The second one came out in 2010. So that's like a 30-year jump. This one's coming out in 2025, so 15. So if we keep cutting in half, eventually we'll get a Tron every other year. Yeah, but yeah, I am curious. Yeah, where do they go? And if anybody could possibly, in a few lines, tell me what the plot of Tron 2 was, because I probably don't want to watch it again. So let me know that down below in the comment. But that's it for this week. Let me know if you feel I forgot anything down below. But as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoy this content. If you could toss me a subscribe, that would be great, so I could see those numbers climb. I'd really appreciate that. But as always, I hope you have a super day. I hope you have a super weekend. And I hope you have a super day. Bye.